Hello, hello, hello. Today we're going to go over something a little different. I had this trade that I took I believe it was last Friday. Yeah, last Friday. And this was one that I took with larger sizes. Normally I don't trade quite this aggressively when I trade, but I saw a lot of things lining up with it, and I want to talk about something that I think played a role here. It looks like it did the continuation I thought it would do too, so I just kind of wanted to highlight some of my thoughts on this. So this was a gap and go. They had earnings the previous day, and they made 23 cents per share, so really good. And I wanted to look into this a bit more before I actually took the trades. So one of the things I do normally is I'll do like a little bit of a fundamental check to kind of check on the state of the company. So what do I mean by this? So, okay, they made 23 cents per share. So one thing I'll normally do is I'll go a year out. I'll look at their performance a year out, and then I'll go 3 years out, and I'll look at that too. So just go ahead and go to 1 year. You can see the stock's been relatively stable. It's been going up and going down, but it's like within the whole last year, it's been relatively the same price. And like that's important to me because yeah, sure, okay, it had like this pump here, but relatively it's actually pretty stable because some of these small caps, they're just complete disaster storms of just cash burning. And yeah, their earnings too, it's like 1 cent, -9 cents, 8 cents. So it looks like they're pretty stable. And then they had this very strong earnings. I'll go 3 years out too, just to show that. And you see the same thing. So they had a bad quarter here, but you can see it's relatively stable, which tells me right away this company is not a completely garbage company. It still might not be good, but it was at least not garbage. And so when I was buying in on these pullbacks here, because this was a relatively slow mover, that was also part of the reason I sized up, because this thing was not moving too terribly fast, was that I expected, given how strong the earnings was and given the history of this company over the last 1 and 3 years, that there was a good chance of a bounce in some way. And I remember when I was taking this, I was thinking to myself, I think there's a good chance this goes a lot higher. Now I didn't try and hold for a longer term move because that's not my strategy, but I thought there was a good argument, at least like if I thought it was going to go higher, surely there's at least a chance for a bounce. And that was the argument that I tried to make, and I did make money. And then the following day, today, Monday, it did end up making that move. So very interesting. And I want to give a comparison here just to give some contrast. Right, so just real quick here, I'll go back and show again. This is what it looked like for 1 year. This is what it looked like for 3 years. So pretty choppy, but relatively stable. Earnings aren't completely disastrous. Now let's go ahead, JH, and look at EJH. And you might be like, what on earth is this? It started up here 3 years ago at $161,000. And that's because this company has been burning so much money. Right, so at any point in time, this company has just been bleeding and bleeding and bleeding over the last 3 years, and they've had to keep doing reverse splits where they decrease the number of shares but increase the price to keep the price above $5 so they can stay listed. And you can see it's just been a continual downward spiral into nothing. So yeah, this is what I would call basically a scam almost. But yeah, this is not at all what you would want to see in a company. And I've traded this one time. I'm not sure what was going on at this point, but I traded it one time. And generally, as a rule of thumb, I try to avoid stocks like this. I find these kind of stocks especially if you're trying to buy and move up, like historically, it's just gone straight down. Like you've had like one pop here, but like historically you are at a disadvantage trying to trade this setup. So in general, I try to avoid it. If I really like a setup, like I did one trade here. I don't know what occurred to make me want to take this, but generally I will avoid these types of stocks, and I will be more interested in trying to trade these types where you have good fundamentals behind the company. And that can be a bit hard because a lot of, quite frankly, the crappy companies are these small caps. So it's kind of one more gauge that I use to try and identify what's a good entry, what kind of catalyst, what kind of indicators am I looking for, and this is just one of them. Seeing if the company isn't completely garbage. But that's all. Just thought I'd throw this out here because I saw that this did end up continuing to move, and I thought this would be a good example to show. So that's all. Thanks for watching.